Welcome to my kitchen. With Thanksgiving almost upon us, like me, you're probably getting your recipes ready. No Thanksgiving dinner would be complete without sweet potatoes. But as you know, they're most often prepared with loads of sugar, marshmallows, and fat. Well, the recipe I'm making for you today leaves out the bad and keeps in the good and tastes fantastic. My healthy version of holiday sweet potatoes. So let's get started. When you pick your sweet potatoes, look for the deep orange fleshed ones. Yams are richer, deeper colored, and actually have a higher vitamin content than sweet potatoes. But whatever you have, they're both just as good, so just get them relatively the same size so they'll cook at the same rate and as deeply colored as you can. Now, I prefer to bake my potatoes instead of boiling them, as baking locks in the flavor as well as the nutrients. Sweet potatoes are a good source of fiber as well as phytonutrients like potassium, manganese, vitamins A and C. And as far as quantity to buy when you're shopping, plan on a half to 1 potato per person that you're serving. I usually make extra, so we'll have lots of leftovers for the weekend. Be sure you scrub your potatoes well. I've got a potato here that I wanted to show you. Scrub it really good so that you'll remove any traces of Mother Earth. Place it on a foil-lined baking sheet. This will sure save you when cleanup comes. Be sure you take a fork and prick each potato 2 to 3 times just like this. So when you place it on your foil-lined baking sheet, pop it in the oven, the steam will escape. If not, you'll have a mess on your hands. You'll bake these at a 400-degree oven for about an hour to an hour and a half, but you don't want to overcook the potatoes for this dish because when you slice them, you're going to want them to hold together nicely. You're going to know they're done when you squeeze them lightly and they just sort of squish easily. You'll feel them give. Take them out of the oven and let them cool completely. You know, another little tip that's kind of neat is that if you have the time, you can actually peel the potatoes when they're slightly warm and the peelings just come off just like that. Okay, so now we'll have our potatoes prepared. Next, I prepare my pan so I can slice the potatoes right into it. That saves on the mess. I lightly brush a little walnut oil in the bottom of my casserole dish. This is a great way to get the omega-3s in your diet, and it imparts such a nice nutty flavor, but not a strong flavor. Okay, now once this is ready, I would peel my potatoes right into the pan. Of course, I've prepared them for you today. You want to cut them into about 1/3 to 1/4 inch chunks, not too thick, thin enough so that the juices that we're going to put in will just meld in and just make it taste so good. So now we're going to take our potatoes. I've got 6 potatoes for us to use today. And I've got these all peeled and baked, ready to go. And as you can see, these potatoes are staying together nicely because they're not overcooked. It's real easy to forget and have them cooked a little bit too much. So we'll just layer these nice in a pan. And then we're going to put a sauce on here that just makes them taste delicious. My kids just love it, and everyone seems to fight for the goo in the bottom, so I try to be sure and add enough. Now when we start making our sauce, I want to talk to you about the sugar now while I'm doing this step. I'm going to be using maple syrup today, which is really, really healthy, and that's going to be something that you can do according to the taste of your family. If you're used to a no sugar diet, no problem. Just use about a tablespoon. If you're not, then you can add a little bit more because you could have the kids or grandkids coming over and you want them to eat this dish. So if you need to add a little bit more maple syrup to make it a little sweeter, that's okay. It is the holidays. All right, let's get my potatoes on here. So I'm going to be doing about 6 potatoes for this dish today because I want it to serve about 8 people. Just about this much looks good. I like to spread them around, not necessarily in even layers, so people can just dig in. All right, that looks beautiful. And let's just get the potatoes off my fingers. Now, here's a neat tip. I prepare the dish through this step the day before Thanksgiving and refrigerate it. So all I have to do is dress it and bake it before dinner. It saves at least 30 minutes on your cooking because you know that's what holidays are about, is spending time with the family, not in the kitchen. So we want to do as much as we can ahead. So I would just cover this with plastic wrap, pop it in the refrigerator, and then Thanksgiving morning I'll take it out. Now for the topping, this is the fun part. I'm going to take a 1/2 cup of fresh squeezed orange juice and just pour over all the potatoes. Be sure you do this step first so it makes a marinade, if you will, because when we add our oils to it, they won't soak into the potatoes through this. So we'll do that. Now in a measuring cup, we're going to whisk together 1/3 cup of hazelnut oil. Hazelnut imparts such a delicate flavor, and it's a great source of omega-9. So many of you have asked for these oils that I now have in stock so you can get them from me. So now to my oil, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of maple syrup, which really isn't much for this large a dish. There we go. Our maple syrup, and I'll just begin whisking that together. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I just love vanilla extract. I use it a lot. And you know, when you're doing healthy cooking and cutting down on sugar, vanilla really gives a good flavor and it helps you not miss that sugar so much. Now we'll add 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. We'll just whisk that up really, really, really good. It makes a nice, rich sauce. And we'll just drizzle that over all the potatoes. There we go. Now we'll just take that at one side. And doesn't that just look beautiful? And it's going to taste so good. I just kind of move it all around so it'll get all down inside. And of course, got to get every last bit because it tastes so good. Now to top this off, this is going to be really good. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. That adds protein, and of course it has the healthy oils in it as well. And I like to just spread it all over my potatoes, getting it all down in there. And then the next step, which is really fun, is putting a tablespoon of fresh orange zest. This is just great. Now, for those of you at home, these little zesters are the coolest invention. Of course, you can get this by using the fine part of a grater if you don't have one of these, but this is really handy. I just wanted to show this to you, because when you pull it towards yourself like that, you don't get your knuckles, which I've done many times, and the zest just pops off, and I can just smell the aroma that it's giving to me right now. It's just wonderful. And you just kind of go across your orange like that, and you've got your zest. Oh, how lovely. That orange oil is so good. That's just wonderful. So I'm going to take my orange zest that I have here and just kind of sprinkle all over the top. Look how pretty, all that wonderful color. Then I'm going to cover it in foil, and we'll bake it in a 350 oven for 20 to 30 minutes. That's it. And remember, if you put this in the refrigerator the day before, you're going to want to take it out when you start your cooking process to bring it to room temperature before you bake it. And if you don't have time to do that, you're going to want to increase your baking time 10 minutes or so. So I'll go pop this in the oven, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. Oh, this is going to be so good. I've got my finished one here to pull out. Okay, here we go. And Thanksgiving dinner is just about ready. This is ready to go straight to the table. Let's carefully undo this foil. Never take the foil off towards your face because you could burn yourself. Oh, how beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Ready to put right on the table, and Thanksgiving dinner is just about ready. This is just so delicious, and we're getting the essential oils, the minerals, the phytonutrients, and it tastes great as well. See, you don't need all that sugar and fat. I'm telling your family's going to love this dish. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. For a copy of today's recipe, log on to healthycookingwithcindy.com, print it off, and enjoy it. And if you don't have a computer, just send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll make sure you get the recipe. Now stay tuned, because we'll be right back after these messages.